Okay, today we got a leaky wheel cylinder on a 2003 Ford Taurus, in the rear obviously, and we've already pulled off our brake shoes. That's another video I got on doing brake job in the back. It's not totally necessary. You can just loosen the connections back here and then move the pads, the actual shoes out a little bit to unhook from these grooves right here where it locks in. And you can simply get the wheel cylinder out of there, no problem, without dismantling the whole brake apparatus back here. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is pull off these two 8mm bolts. There's one on each side of it, one right here and here. And then we're going to have to get this line off here. Now, these lines, they got this coating on, they're great. They don't rot out no more. There's no more blown out brake lines, but you may find you're trying to undo this nut right here so you can get your wheel cylinder off. It's a 1/2 inch, 13mm actually, it fits a lot better. And the nut will move within the wheel cylinder, but it won't move with the line. So the line and the nut are locked together. And I'm going to show you a little trick on how to get this wheel cylinder changed out without ruining this line, because you will twist and break it. So I'm gonna show you a little trick. So first thing we're gonna do is pull these 8mm bolts out so we can get the wheel cylinder loose from the backing plate, and then we're gonna go to the other side and I'll show you my trick. Okay, so like I said, the actual line is stuck to the nut, but the nut will come free from the wheel cylinder. So we got both our 8mm bolts out. We're gonna break it free. It's gonna be rust bonded. It sticks through the plate just a little bit. Let's see where. Basically free now. And then we're going to pull this 10mm bolt right here that holds the line to the strut. And now we should have a lot of flex room without bending the heck out of this line, because we're flexing on the actual hose now. At this point, simply work it through. There's a big hole back here. See the size of that hole? So we're good, right? You can work it through a little bit. See this? Now we're getting out of frame. There's so much room here. Okay. So, all I gotta do now is spin it off and put your new one on. Okay, so you can see it's coming off real nice and easy. See that? That's a nice little trick so we don't ruin this line. Before we fully take it off, we're going to put that on a little bit. We're going to clean the actual nut here and the threads that are exposed. And then we're going to do some brake clean so we don't introduce all kinds of foreign material into the new wheel cylinder, because these are freaking nasty. So, best we can to clean it up. Wipe it off and put a nice clean line into a new wheel cylinder the best we can. Okay, so now you can see we're just able to twist it off. We're not ruining anything, we're not flexing, we're not beating on this line, we're not yanking on the line to try to get it through the hole. We have plenty of working room. And one last clean of our rag. And you can see down here where the threads were actually inside of the wheel cylinders. Not too bad. Nice and clean. And then we get this one in here. And you can work it on here. Start threading it in. Get it lined up on there and it'll actually start threading. That'd be a good idea, right? Now I know the threads on all these wheel cylinders are different and it may not line up perfectly, but this line does have some flex into it. Once you got it back on, do that final crank over for tightening. So we're gonna, since we're tightened, so we're not losing any more brake fluid, we're going to clean this while we're in here. Now we got access to it. This thing's been leaking for a while, obviously. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to get all the corrosion, you're not going to get all the brake dust just ingrained in there. We just need to get that fluid out of there. Excessive dust, stuff like that. And now you can just simply align it back up with the hole here. Maybe get this back a little bit so we don't bend the line. Get it back in its original position back in there. And then this will fit right in here real nice like that. And we can start putting our 8mm bolts back in. And we can do by hand and get everything lined up, tighten them down, and then worry about cinching this line down. And then once your wheel cylinder's bolted in, you just tighten your line down. It should only be a quarter to a half inch, half a turn more from where we stopped earlier to bolt the actual wheel cylinder in. And it'll put a slight twist in your line, a very slight one, and it's nothing to worry about. It's a lot better than ruining this coating on here and melting it all down with the torch to separate these two. So it'll become really messed up by you trying to grip it and twist on here and then heat at the same time. So this is a lot safer method, and you can see there's no damage, there's no kinking, there's no chunks missing off here and teeth marks. There's nothing. It's just got a slight bend down to it, which it has bends all over the place in the first place, so it's just fine. It's made to do that. And at this point it's stationary, and it won't have no more stress or bends on it anyway, so it's just fine. And it works great. I've done it many years, and never no leaks and never no issues with the lines because they're all stayed intact instead of modifying them. Okay, and I'll show you on the bench how to get the line off with heat. If you don't like my first method, this is the other method to use to separate the line from the actual nut. And both ways are acceptable, but I like the other way better. But I'll show you how to do this side and show you how to free it up, and then everything will be free when you go back on. If you are heating up brake lines, make sure you have a line open somewhere, like this one is in the end, because it's going to heat up and it's going to spit out. And if you're heating it up so much, it can actually blow out and be, hot brake fluid on you. And also, brake fluid is flammable, so that don't put the flame near the bubbling brake fluid. You don't want that to start on fire and start dripping everywhere. It starts becoming like drops of little fireballs, like. So use propane torch, and don't go anything higher than that. And just heat the fitting up, and then we'll start trying to work the line. It's stuck. And we already loosened the nut on here a couple of turns, so the line is free from the actual fitting here. You can see it bubbling out of there. We want to avoid that. So now we're starting to move. At this point, take the heat away and just kind of move it around in there and break up that corrosion. And you won't have to use it anymore at heat. And you can see how it removes the epoxy coating on there to an extent. So that's up to you. If you want to get rid of that epoxy coating, which prevents the corrosion from the lines breaking, that's up to you. But this works also. Just keep moving it around, and then we can get the actual line off of here. This one's kind of stuck a little bit. This side was really rusted and has that actual frozen piston in here that ruined the other side. So it's pretty bad. Just take this off now. Make sure your line's still moving. Mine is. And it's already cooled down basically. So it should be good. Going back on. Ooh. After that, there's nothing to it. You just reassemble your shoes if you took them off, and then put your brake drum back on, and then of course bleed out your system with preferably like a vacuum bleeder, or you can do pressure bleeding with an assistant pressing the brake pedal down while you open the bleeder. Either way, you need to bleed the rear brakes out, and you should be all set.